not commanding, etc., then you could balance it out a bit and get everything working, and somebody would only help you. But because they're like sitting there taking a whole thing and they have to play a role, it definitely comes down to where they're screwed. You're in for a conflict. Okay, so we need to see if we have a time-related tier for the stage or that. Okay, so okay, so if we have a countdown, otherwise, if we have this, let's see, it's going to be countdown start is going to be equal to this. And it's going to be show clock is true, is countdown is false. Alright, so if we do have a countdown, what we want to do is we want to say show clock is true, is countdown is true, and countdown start is going to be we already have the countdown start and end set. Otherwise, show clock should be false. Alright, we'll just set that just to make sure down there. Okay, we'll have to rebuild this thing to get this to work. So let me just check this, make sure it makes sense to me. So we grab our stuff. Let's make sure we actually use our variables. Okay, so basically we're going to go through all the win conditions. If there is a timer for winning that is greater than or blah, for the stage, we will calculate time left. If time left is less than the minimum countdown, we'll do that. Otherwise, we grab the countdown start and end and we set that. We set has countdown to true. We go through the loss conditions. We go through the win conditions for the mission, and we set that based on that as well. So our closest countdown clock is always going to be our total countdown clock. All right, if we do have a countdown, we will set countdown to true, and that we are also a countdown. Otherwise, see if we have a time-related tier. If a time-related tier is true, we will show the clock, and our clock will count up based on our mission start time or our stage time, depending upon which tier actually has it. We will favor a stage tier. All right. All right. Yeah, I don't know. It depends. That was always frustrating when you'd be yelling at people for 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 when you really like your team member has to pull their weight, otherwise you're just fucked. You know, it's different in other games. Like we played a bunch of chivalry, which is where there's sword swinging knights killing each other combat. Where if the other people on your team aren't that great, it's okay. It's you might lose the whole match, but you're still gonna like kick a whole bunch of ass, regardless. And you might be able to carry it out in the end anyway if you're good enough. But when it's, like a min-max, balance game of, well, they got two more Marines than you do, they're gonna win. Like, it's a numbers game, people. They have more. There's just not a whole hell of a lot you can do. It's like, oh, but I'll use these sneakily. It'd be like, it doesn't matter. They can just throw more dudes at you and you lose. So, good luck. Okay, end stage clock. I didn't make it a static function. No wonder it didn't show up. But it's also kind of fun to see the... Well, we'll see. So supposedly with this UMG stuff, we should be able to get tooltips and other small things, custom cursor overrides. We'll see. We might have to wait for a lot of that stuff until we basically completely remove the WebKit stuff except for the login screen. The other cool thing is I did mention that in Discord that if we switch everything to UMG, there's pretty much no reason that we won't be able to support Mac for Steam, because it'll all be Unreal. So as long as we get a basic, Mac test going, we should be able to support it, which would basically be, I'm not really sure, but I could always get some Mac machine and make a custom build off there for it, and send it to a few people who actually have Mac gaming machines and Mac gaming machines. Yeah, exactly. See if it runs. So one other thing is I'm supposed to get my lawn mowed today by somebody else. So we'll see if they actually show up. Because they should, and that should be pretty cool. Okay, so get mission clock status. We just got that. So we should have if show clock is false, then what we're going to do is we're just going to jump up there and set visibility to false. Okay, so if it's a countdown clock, otherwise. So let's take a look at this. The one and only Tim, welcome back, the one and only Tim, to working on stuff. And thank you, sir, for the cheer. As always, very motivating. Today I'm working on the UI stuff, and basically we've got this. We're switching over to using UMG for our stage stuff for pretty much the whole game. But the first thing we're doing is the mission system, which will have that. So I'm working on the mission clock widget and getting that set up, and it's just a process. So let's see, I've got the clock widget, which has got set times. So we want to call set times on ourself. So if it is a countdown clock, then we want to call set times with the countdown start and end. And the clock type is going to be a, processor game countdown. Shit, I need to know if it's, I need more information. Oh wait, so you got hired in there to this place, Caracan, and you're gonna have to hold like a brown bag sort of thing. Everybody gather around at lunch. All right, screwheads, listen up. This is how you use Harmony, and and you better stop fucking this up. Alright, so use game clock is going to be false. Use game clock is going to be false for this guy. It will be false for this guy. But it will be true for you and true for you. Otherwise, use game clock and use game clock. So for stages, we use the level clock, and for mission level clock, we use the game. Looks awesome. You still haven't tried the new update. However, today is the last day of grad school. You have successfully defended your thesis and now are almost free. You may have also secured lots of funding for a social issue video game. Well, that's excellent, the one and only Tim. Congratulations on defending your thesis and getting 5 G's of sweet money to make a game is always an exciting prospect. So a social issue video game. That's interesting. I know one guy who I worked with at Electronic Arts. He makes a lot of small kind of social issue games. You're hired as an animator, but be damned if I don't get them to use tools at least halfway right. Yeah, I see how it is. Yeah, but he makes social issue games. Let me see, what was the last thing he made? What the hell is his name anyway? Is it this guy? What was the last game he made? Yeah, he made Coming Out Simulator 2014, I believe, was something he made. He made some other things like that because he's been like horribly depressed and things like that, and he made like, a video game about coming out as being gay and how that like affected his family and his relationship with his parents. And he made another. He makes a lot of games like that. He made one about fake news and social media, which I thought was pretty cool. I think like a year and a half ago, where basically there were like angry people, and you clicked on them, and angry people made other people more angry, and then eventually everybody was just like stabbing each other and stuff like that. I think if you look up his website, I don't know what he's done in the past, but that's his website, and I worked with that guy when he was an intern. I think that's his stuff. But I think he's made a lot of basic stuff. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, he made Nothing to Hide and all that sort of stuff. So he's done a lot of stuff, but he's not the most stable of individuals. So he's probably got some pretty weird stuff on there. Table is highly overrated. Yeah. So yeah, I think if you're making like a social issues game, his Flash games definitely might put you in the right mindset for simple, small, effective games that aren't going to take a million years for you to make, but also are, you know, decent. I don't know. I definitely when he releases a game, I usually try to play it and tell him he did a good job because he could use a self-esteem boost sometimes. All right, so we need if we need to use the game clock or not. Being stable is highly overrated. I know. I don't know what you're talking about. All right, so if so if it's a countdown and if it is a game clock countdown, then we're going to use the game countdown clock and start and end here. Otherwise, presentation, let's just do our minutes and seconds presentation. So this is going to be our level countdown here. Do the same thing for start and end. Otherwise, we need to set our game countdown, level countdown. Those are those two. And this is if it's a countdown. So let's so this is game count up. Yeah, so game timer. This will be level timer. All right, let me see. So this should theoretically set all of our clocks up properly. So why don't we actually run it and make sure. Get mission clock status. All right, so set for game state. Show clock text. Set text on this. All right. Let's start commenting. Call to set our text. So get our startup. So let's see if we can get this mission going. It actually does what we want it to do. Alright, so our start time is -6. Our end time is 22, which is obviously wrong. Wait, what? How come we have the right time? How come we have the right time if it was the wrong time? Like, we got the 30-second clock, which is what it's supposed to be. Well, let's see if it is actually the right time. Oh shit, it worked. Okay, so let's go to this, get mission clock status, and let's play it again. See why we are returning that -6 value. But the clock showed up. It did what it was supposed to, and it counted down and looked like it's the right value. So it might be that we had some uninitialized variable stuff going on. Alright, so there's a stage loss condition. Countdown start is stage start, which is -2. Get stage start time. Oh, fuck you, Visual Studio. Why are you doing this? I did not want to edit it. I did a copy paste to search. Level start time is -2? How is that possible? You're done for today. Going to walk home. Catch you in an hour or so. Well, have a good walk home. I always set it up so I would walk to work and back, and that always worked out pretty well for me. So that's cool that you're doing something similar. Well, it looks like it's working. I'm not exactly sure why it's working, because it's printing out the wrong values for me. But it may be that the values are offset properly, so there isn't actually an issue with it. So, like, if it's just not what I expect it to be, but it looks like it's all consistent in what it is. So that's really what matters. Alright, so let's add some other things to it. Let's make the clock flash different colors. Hello, Jim Lucky One. Hello, sir. I do not know who you are, but welcome. So I want to know the actual seconds left on this thing, so let's just do float time left, and let's also do a bool is countdown. Let's do a float time current time. So if we're a countdown clock, we'll get the current time and the time left. Enum's clock type? No, this is just category clock. Right? Currently working on UI for the mission system for Brackensack. And the most important thing for our missions right now is that clock, so that's where I'm starting. So we got our clock widget. So we want to check if it's a countdown clock, otherwise we want to get these values. Alright, so to implement these guys, we need our clock type. So let's see what our clock types are. We have process countdown, game countdown, level countdown, system countdown. Otherwise, it's false. Alright, so get the current time since the start. So basically we want to float now is going to be a value, and based on what we are, so it's going to be either what now is going to be the process time, otherwise we'll get the game time, if it's a level countdown then we need a level time, otherwise now is going to be what system, what does system countdown have anyway? It's just UTC now. Alright. So what does get time diff have? Looks like we just cast it to a float and don't worry about it. Alright, that's fine. Alright, so this will be process timer, game timer, level timer, and the system timer. Okay, so the current time is going to be the time from now to start time. So it's basically we're going to return now minus imp start time. All right, time left is, I think, is that the get diff? Get time diff? So we can just do that. Because time diff is just going to get us now and then the diff. So should be good to go there. Let's also move this native tick to our, that dude. All right. So what this is going to do is we should be able to alternate the colors of the clock based on the seconds that we're in. I'm going to try that and see how it looks. Basically with the idea being that the clock will alternate between two colors based on like 10 seconds left or something like that. Maybe we could do something. Alright, so we'll basically say if this is a countdown clock, we're going to get time left. What is it called? Just time left. So we're going to say, okay, time left is less than there is no is even. So we need two colors. I need slate colors. So this will be normal clock color, text color. So let's make this a slate color. And let's make it white to begin with. So normal clock text color and the alternate clock text color. And we're going to make this one red. So basically what we're doing is if this thing is less than 0, and if we round to the nearest integer and it mod 2 is 0, we will basically swap between these two colors. And it looks like I just got the wrong color for the default. So it's a 22, 20. And let's see it start to alternate. So there, it's alternating. Excellent. Okay, so we have our clock. So let me just look at these other missions and see what they've got. So our score goal 1 has a no win and no loss conditions. The first stage has a win condition of time greater than 10, a loss condition of time greater than 30. So mission 2 is 10 seconds on the clock. And what's stage 2 on this one? Stage 2 has got no win and no loss, but it's a skip. And then this one has a win condition of 1 goal and a loss condition of 30 seconds. Let's actually just remove the loss condition. And let's play stage 2. So we should have a 10-second timer. That was our cutscene. So we should have a 10-second timer, I believe. And okay, there's our 10-second timer. Boom, cutscene. And our timer is at 0. So we don't have a condition there. So the problem is that our clock is not visible. This one, show clock was true, because it's supposed to show there. Show clock is true. Alright, so this one, show clock is false. Come on, Visual Studio, I copied a piece of text. Man, you're just not gonna have a good time with it, are you? Alright, so has countdown is false, has time related tier for the mission, show clock is true, is countdown is false, use game clock is true. Okay, so it should be counting up. So show clock is true and is countdown is false. So we're supposed to use the game clock. So game timer, minutes and seconds. So this should be counting up, but it's not. So alright, so now diff is 0. So our clock type is game timer. Now is 0 because we didn't actually grab our stuff, did we? Alright, so process timer now is going to be so I think that's what I meant to do there. Is those are all the nows. Alright. So this will have our count up clock, and the reason the clock is counting up is because our game time is counting up. Oh no, guys, stop the presses. Lucas is hungry. Well, if you're hungry, you should go eat something, because that's usually what helps with hunger. You know, ground beef and make a rep? You mean make a burrito? I mean, that sounds like a legit way to feed yourself. So we got 10 seconds on the clock there. Basically, our clock is now just counting up. We got 1 and 1. What? One and 2. One and 3. Why was it 1 and 1? Because there already was a score from the previous match? Is that what's going on? Because we got 0 and 0 here, so why was it 1 and 1? 2 and 4. 0, 0. What the hell? Well, it's probably just using the wrong data. So not quite a burrito, you feel? I mean, if it's ground beef, and I mean, just who cares? If it's got a burrito shell, it's a burrito shell. It's a burrito. Like, wraps are just fancy ways to say it's a frickin' burrito. 3 and 5. What? Three and 6. Okay, so it's not resetting the score. And the clock is picking it up. So what's going to be this in-stage clock is when it's getting it's not grabbing the initial stuff. So is it being constructed all the time? Yeah, so I need to set the text here for all this stuff. I think this will do it. So we got zeros going on. So he still got 1 and 1. One and 2. How come we haven't? How come we haven't won the game then? Then that data is just not being updated, is it? Okay, so if we go to our, it's gonna be our arena level not getting reset, right? So let's see, is condition met in the level utils is what's getting called. Oh my god, every time I try to copy paste in Visual Studio it